Our story begins in the forest of the village of Zoltan. We see our hero, Reed, gathering medicinal herbs, and we learn that Zoltan is a very peaceful city. Even its thieves have left it because there is nothing to steal. Later, a member of the Adventurers Guild returns and sells the medicinal herbs he has collected, facing some criticism from other adventurers for not having the Silver Summer due to not going on any mission. However, Rib tells them that his dream is to open a pharmacy and live a slow-paced life. No one in the village knows the truth about Reed or his past. It appears Reed is a beloved figure in the village to the extent that a child named Tana tells him that when he grows up, he will be a carpenter and will build Reed's dream store. Tana asks Reed about his blessing, but Reed does not reveal it. The blessing is a type of extraordinary power that a person is born with and discovers as they grow up. It has many forms, like the warriors, the hunters, the fighters, and the magician. Reed then returns home and starts reminiscing about his past, when I summoned him to attack. However, Reed could not penetrate a normal barrier and said it was just a hurdle in their team due to his weakness, especially since in the last battle, Root had to protect him all the time, giving priority to their enemy. Ice tells him that he has the blessing of the guide, which guides the hero on his first journey. The entire team has already passed the stage, so they no longer need Reed. Reed says he will give his all and try, but Iris shouts at him, saying what he's doing is not enough, and he needs to withdraw from himself because his presence in the team is selfish. Root won't be able to handle it. We find out that she is a heroine and the strongest warrior on Earth. She expels Reed, especially since he also becomes convinced by her older brother. Reed feels the pressure and tells the team that he will embark on a solo journey to pursue the demon army. Indeed, Ice agrees, looking at him with suspicion to the point where he asks him to leave his tools because the team that won it isn't Reed. Later, Reed returns to the present time, showing that he is worried about Root but knows her strength and that she will be fine. He decides that this stage in his life will be one of peaceful living without risks or the pursuit of glory because he's no longer part of the heroine's team. The next day, he continues gathering herbs but senses a presence around him. He then discovers that it's a boomy bear, a dangerous type of bear, but decides not to confront it so as not to attract attention. As he exits the forest, he encounters a group, part of the heroine's team. The adventurers are on their way to defeat the polar bear, and they ask for someone to accompany them because they need someone to guide them through the forest, especially since a mission like this will elevate their rank. However, Reed refuses and tells them that he is not interested in promotion and prefers to remain Reed, being careful that no one knows anything about his past. Later that night, a villager named John knocks on Reed's door urgently because his son, Tanta, is sick and no one knows how to treat him. John discovers that Tana urgently needs a specific medicine, but unfortunately, the ingredients are not available with Reed, and the guild prohibits entry into the forest at this time, and Tana's condition cannot wait until the next day. John tells Reed that he will pay any amount for him to fetch the medicine, but Reed tells him that he will help as a friend, not as an adventurer, without expecting anything in return. Despite the forest being engulfed in a fire, Reed manages to find the required herbs, but suddenly encounters the boomy bear. He is forced to kill it, and it is assumed that the adventurer, Burr, is the one who killed it. However, Burr is doubtful but takes the medicine and Tanta's condition starts improving. John expresses his gratitude and tells Reed that he is willing to repay him in any way he can. This incident impresses John, and 4 months pass by. An adventurer named Asna visited the village during the grand opening and inquired about Reed, expressing her admiration for him. It is revealed that today is the grand opening of Reed's pharmacy. After John requested Reed to build the pharmacy for him, as he is a carpenter, and Reed realized he could purchase the construction materials himself. He hears news about the hero team Roti continuing their victories, and he feels that his decision was the right one. Later, as he enters a store, he recognizes one of the adventurers named Ba as a warrior princess from a neighboring state, a military force not to be underestimated. Reed is surprised to see her in Vegel, so she tells him that they want her to be the heir apparent, knowing how much her brother is interested in that position. Therefore, she decided to withdraw from the entire kingdom before causing a family rift. Reed starts telling her about what happened to him, and she becomes very angry, telling him that Iris was just jealous of him, nothing more. However, Reed insists that he always expose him to danger, and he makes her tea, remembering when he used to care for Root, even though she was a monster, trying to convince himself that he did the right thing for her. He is impressed by her skills in the kitchen, and they reminisce about the first time they met. When the hero team had a mission, Root showcased her skills in front of them to prove that she did not need them. However, After a while, she began to help them gather information until they discovered that Luya was under attack by the demon army. At that time, Reed asked her to join them because they needed her help, which delighted her. They recall the first time they fought together in the battle to eliminate an enemy. At that time, Reed was the one who devised the plan. Despite most people's objections to it, their leader expressed admiration for the plan and agreed to it. However, her plan failed, and she discovered that the commander's personality was actually fake after she killed him, leading to a severe defeat. Suddenly, Bayoush arrives and rescues her because he felt that something was wrong and they could still fight back. Just as Roti arrives and swiftly defeats him, Reed is shocked by the number of spies present, especially since they are her soldiers, and she refuses to fight again. Afterward, he goes to Harried and tells her that she must win to erase the memory of defeat so that her people do not lose faith in her leadership. They return to the city, and Reed tells Red that she wants to work with him, but Red completely refuses, especially since there are only 2 adventurers of their rank here, and Reed is one of them. She tells him that she is not interested and will step down from her adventurer position, deciding to move in and live in Reed's house. This way, she can help him more and also enjoy the food he cooks every day. Indeed, she starts assisting him with administrative matters, especially after noticing his ignorance in such matters, like obtaining the necessary permits from the Council of Zelton and the dosage that could destroy the economy. They later go to the heroine team where a new member, Heezy, is welcomed. She is a very strong fighter who is greeted warmly. Roti appears and tells her that she will be under her command, not under Iris, and Tisi agrees. Roti informs them of their next mission, to find the devil's weapon, and tells them that they will start tomorrow. She wakes up and starts planning the day with Reed, realizing she needs to buy a new bed for herself. She submits a request to the guild for this, citing it as necessary for the new Reed. She talks to Reed about the need for some new paintings in his house and discusses the salary, requesting a very small amount, which Reed understands as her moving in to live with him. To avoid burdening her with a large sum, he walks with her in the city streets, telling her that Zoluland is a very peaceful place without any unrest and that the village does not need a hero. However, Reed mentions that she always feels there is something hidden in this village. Reed then hears a strange sound and sees Tana arguing with some kids who seem to recognize Reed's strength and run away. Tana introduces Reed to his friend who has an injured knee, and Reed treats him. It becomes evident that the Kayif family is afraid of Burkate after they discovered her true identity, because their old friend turned very violent after finding out that Burkate is the troublesome fighter. Unfortunately, not all blessings lead to good outcomes, but Reed reassures them that even though Burkate is evolving in her personal traits, she cannot change the essence of a person. They know that Burkate Rit has the ability to reveal soul, which is one reason she cannot live in the palace, because her blessing craves freedom, and the family gets excited when Reed tells her that she can help him overcome any fears he has. Then, Reed goes to the Council of Zoltan, but the president rejects Reed's idea without discussion, which surprises Reed greatly. She decides to contact the official BER, who informs her that their timing is very bad because the guild has just discovered that the treatment they have been using for a month is being used as a drug, causing them significant problems. However, since the request is personal from Reed, the official agrees to it. Reed thanks her for her concern about all the problems. Rit enjoys the food with Reed and tells him that he must share the recipe he cooks as it is addictive. Reed laughs and tells her she is exaggerating. However, suddenly an idea crosses his mind. He quickly enters the laboratory and starts making a dietary supplement. It tastes great. He tells her that a small bite prevents cold, and she is amazed by its taste. The next day, she starts distributing free samples of it, and it becomes popular everywhere, especially among children, and his shop starts thriving due to his skill and assistance, and he continues to wrap her up. At the heroine team, Dr. Heezy argues with Iris because they wasted a lot of time on health without finding a single clue to the devil's weapon. They begin to realize the importance of following Reed's guidance, point where Dan decides to search for him and informs his decision, but Roti issues her order to Dan to find her brother. Dan starts talking to Reed alone and tells her that he suspects her of killing Rit, but she assures him that he cannot do that because he will be tried militarily, and we know that the only one who rejected being in the team was. He continues working quietly with the shock of all the villagers that Rit is retiring from adventuring and working with Reed. She goes to buy a special drink to celebrate their success, and as soon as she leaves, Bai enters the pharmacy. Bai is the other adventurer who holds the rank of B in Vizelton after Reed. Bai asks him if he is satisfied with his life, and Reed tells him that he loves his life very much. But Bai interrupts him and tells him that he knows that he is the one who killed the bear because of the sword's blade found on the bear. But Reed denies, which angers Owlbear, and he attacks him, demanding that he confess his true identity. Suddenly, Reed intervenes and attacks Owlbear, seemingly about to kill him. But Reed intervenes and tells her that Owlbear had asked him to join his team. She tells him to leave immediately, and Owlbear is scared. Afterwards, Reed thanks Reed and tells her that he is happy that she got upset for him. In the evening, they have a special dinner and celebrate the beginning of their new life together. However, Rit tells him that they still need a bathtub, so he suggests that she go to the best sauna in the village. Rit gets very excited about the idea. The next day, they go and meet John and Sathe, the owners of the main store, and they compete to see who has the greatest tolerance until John and Alu. They sit with the old man in charge of the place outside, who complains to them that since the sauna, the Hades, opened, his place has always been empty. However, the group gets excited and tells him that they will continue to come here as long as the place remains open because it is a special place. In the evening, they gather there and start thinking about how to help him compete and come up with a brilliant idea. He goes to Ziv and tells him that he can provide aromatic herbs for the sauna that not only have a distinctive scent, but also help in curing some diseases. Ziv tries the herbs and is amazed by their impressive result. Customers start coming more, which makes Reed very happy, and she tells Reed that she never imagined finding life in Zoltan so satisfying in this way, showing her admiration for Reed. She continues to sit with Tio and asks her if she regrets being with them, but Tazi says she doesn't. Tio then starts telling her about the heroine team in the past, how they never faced problems other than fighting, and how they were a team by nature during battle. But after Reed left, their team collapsed to the point where they couldn't even steal from each other, expressing sadness for Roti, who always remained isolated. Afterwards, Rit visits a group from the Adventurers Guild, and they ask their president if Reed lives with her and request to meet her. He tells them that she will come out to meet them after she finishes preparing the store for opening. The guild is very surprised that they have to wait, but they understand well. As soon as Reed enters, she tells them that she will finish up and come out to walk them out quickly. Once Reed leaves the store, a member of the Thieves Guild enters and offers Reed a large sum of money in exchange for him staying away. But he tells them that Reed is much more valuable to him than any amount they could offer. Outside the store, the guild offers Rit money, title, or even noble privileges, but she screams at them, telling them that she has signed a lifelong contract to work with Reed and will not go out for adventure again. She enters the store and gives Reed a nod. A gift in the form of a special bracelet is considered Rit's first salary. We see a group of bandits gathered with Dare, who is an important figure in the village. They tell him that Rit is a winning card, and everyone argues about her. Even the thieves group is afraid of her, since Deal knows her weaknesses. They ask him to cooperate with them and help them control Rit. They offer to facilitate the transportation of his goods, which contain money, and Dare agrees immediately. Rit remembers her last battle with Reed when they were in the heroine team. During a major siege in Logia, Reed proposed a plan for them to pass through the enchanted forest and enlisted the help of his friend Randa due to her ability to communicate with plants. However, when Randa sees Rit getting closer to Reed, she starts to change. She notices Rit's feelings and asks her if she loves him, which Rit quickly denies. Randa tells her that Reed also likes her and that she sees him happy because Rit always carries more burdens in the team than her comrades, despite Iris underestimating him. She believes that Reed's abilities far surpass his blessing and that his presence in the team is crucial, even more so than Roti herself. This makes Rit reflect on her time with the team until Randa discovers a traitor among Iris people. Reed quickly devises an alternative plan, which poses a significant risk to him, but Roti assures him of her trust and orders the plan's execution. Rit begins to distract the enemy while Roti launches into battle. Roti asks Rit to withdraw, and Rit is shocked by Roti's strength after she defeats the army alone. After the battle, Rit apologizes to Reed for putting him in danger and decides that she no longer belongs in the heroine team. She entrusts Reed to Roti and decides to invest her time in rebuilding her kingdom, planning to return to the present later. Reed can't believe that fate brought her and Rit together again. She goes to deliver an order and finds Dare, who tells her that he knows her true identity as the Princess of Logia, and that if she doesn't return to adventuring or to her principality, he will inform the kingdom that she has fled from the Caliphate and is living here with Reed. However, Reed tells him to do as he pleases because she is not interested and will not give up her life with Rit for any reason. Afterward, she returns home, feeling truly missed, reflecting on the day Iris informed her that Reed had left the team to pursue the demon army alone. Rit finds it hard to believe, especially knowing that Enred would have informed her of the decision. She immediately strikes Iris with a deadly blow in revenge for Reed. Despite considering herself a heroine with specific goal, she treats Iris because she cannot let her emotions control her. Although she doesn't talk about it again, she truly misses her brother. Later, she meets with the village doctor to discuss a new type of medicine. Suddenly, they hear someone fainting, and the doctor rushes to attend to the person. Beside the person, Red finds the antidote which he made. He tells the doctor that the person's condition is due to the new disease they are using as a drug. He asks the doctor to create reserves of the antidote because they will likely face similar cases in the near future. Red then goes to have lunch with Rit and tells her what happened. Afterward, he suggests they go for a walk by the lake to relax since they've been exhausted from work recently. Rit is very happy and they prepare their camping gear and head to the camping site. Finally, Rit decides to confess her feelings to Reed and return to the heroine team, who are still searching for the demonic weapon. She asks Rudy if she ever sleeps because whenever she looks at her tent, she finds her awake. Rudy tells her that her abilities as a heroine make her not need many things like sleep and food. She never feels tired because being a heroine and ignoring unnecessary emotions allow her to focus. Rudy and Reed resume their work, starting to make more of the antidote. Rit tells Red about a rumor that the disease makes people feel like new individuals. Suddenly, a bleeding person arrives, and they rush to help him. They find out that one of the Beer group members is killing people. They manage to eliminate the attackers, with Beer himself assisting Rit. She questions him about what's happening, but he seems clueless. However, it becomes evident that something is controlling him, raising suspicion. They start investigating the crime, but don't find any lead. They suspect the drug is causing the unconsciousness and erratic behavior, especially with the team's heightened strength. They visit Tana for guidance, have a meal with her, and she recognizes Rit as the wielder of the legendary weapon that greatly enhances weapon mastery. Tana advises Rit to choose a specific weapon to further enhance her skill. Later, they visit one of the Beer group members, R, who apologizes to Rit for what happened. The Beer group is planning to take on more missions to improve their skills and utilize the hero's blessing to its full potential. And thus, the story concludes with Rhea telling them that Rit is afraid that Beer will leave the village, but Reed reassures her. The guild needs him, and it's impossible for them to let him go. He is trying to be the hero here, as they are still looking for Dan, who is continuing his search for Reed. He meets someone named Wei and tells him that he is also looking for him, sensing his presence. Dan's power agrees to hope they find him soon. Suddenly, a dust storm sweeps over the village of Zalin. He makes honey milk for her, which she really likes, and tells her that Rudy used to make it for him all the time. This triggers memories of their childhood when they were all kids playing outside. At that time, all the kids were crying except Rudy, who told him that she wasn't afraid of anything. Reed tells her that he was the one who was scared because he wanted her to come closer to him and start feeling human emotion. Despite everything, it becomes clear that Rudy loves her brother very much and asks him to stay. He is always with her, but Reed tells her that he needs to improve himself so he can fight alongside her in the future. But even if that happened, he will always visit her during vacation, and they will return to the present. When Reed meets the doctor, he knocks on his door while carrying the patient who is bleeding. The doctor quickly treats him, noting that there are a large number of splinters in his wound. Just then, someone screams that an old man went to their house with a scythe and attacked his parents. They rush to the house and find him injured but still alive. Reed treats them, and it is later revealed that the old man has disappeared, leaving the townspeople angry at the town guards, especially since the old man's father is the head of the guard. The guild leader decides to treat the old man's family in his palace and leaves them there for now. Rit asks Reed to teach her sword fighting, and they start training the next day. She enjoys it, sitting with him and telling him that she is improving a lot. However, this is the first time she's learning how to kill, and her teacher always told her that there are many things a person needs to learn to master fighting beyond just wielding sword. She is afraid she won't be able to learn all of this, but Reed reassures her of her potential. Then the navigators barge in, running and informing them that the city guards have taken Tanta without reason. Rit goes to the guild leader, Geladin, and tells him that she wants to enter the guard building because they have unjustly detained Tanta and are trying to blackmail her, saying they will release her in exchange for her cooperation. She takes charge of investigating this issue and agrees. Rit and Reed managed to enter the office where Moyne and Tonto are. He tells them that he ordered Tana's interrogation, but doesn't know the rest of the detail. The guard, Shaker, is thankful that someone from the village killed the old man, but Moyne denies the presence of the old man in the house. He becomes very agitated and tells him that he is lying. But even Tana says that it is impossible for the old man to do such a thing, especially since he retired and told him that he would never harm anyone without reason. After realizing that his blessing is under control and that it is now his duty to protect people rather than harm them, he decides to meet them alone. He asks him about the possibility of the old man using the new medicine. However, Moyne becomes agitated and tells him that it is impossible for the old man to do such a thing, and we know that this medicine could bestow another blessing on the user. So, Reed returns to Al and Rita remains for the investigation, and Reed agrees to train her until Rita returns. Al is shocked by Reed's skill, especially since he is facing him with a broom, not a real sword. Al asks him how he didn't improve his skills despite his expertise, and Reed tells him that he is currently living the life he had wished for and doesn't need to be a hero, so he talks. He said that someone from the Thieves Guild visited them today, and he brought a sword as a gift, telling him that the sword would help him become a hero. Reed tells him the famous motto, that in order to become a skilled swordsman, you must define your goal, whether it's defeating a group of fools or protecting your loved ones after. Then Rita encounters a member of the gang, but she is shocked when he detonates himself, so she doesn't extract any information from him. Suddenly, she finds herself surrounded, trying to fight them, but Dan appears and saves her, saying that he is on a mission to bring Reed back. It is clear that Reed is happy in his new life, so he decides to leave him alone. But the problem now is that the one attacking Reed belongs to the Devil's Army, which means he has to prove himself, but he can't. Reed wants to know of his existence and asks Reed to convey the information to him in secret. So Rita goes to him and shows Reed the sword he mentioned. Rita inspects it and tells him that it needs adjustment and tuning. They understand why someone might be interested in the place he mentioned, and the next day, Rita takes Reed to the place where her first sword was made to create a new sword. Reed notices people gathering in the street and realizes that the residents are protesting against the Royal Guard. Meanwhile, the heroine's team faces a devilish monster. Roti orders Tisi to find the weapon, and Rita and Teo take on the task of eliminating the devil, who is directing a deadly blow to Iris. But Rita catches up with him at the last moment and tells him that she has always been protecting Reed because he is her brother and she loves him. But neither she nor Teo will protect him if he can't carry out his adjustments and help them at least protect himself so as not to hinder them. He returns. After that, Tisi informs them that she found the weapon, which is a ship in the sky, and they are amazed by the power of the ship and take control of it. She asks Rita if there is a place like hers to go to, and she says yes, but she won't go there as long as she is a heroine because her goal is clear, which is to eliminate the Devil's Army. Rita then disguises herself as A and walks in the city, only to find men surrounding her to capture her. But she removes her disguise and starts confronting them, shocked to find that one of them is not human but a devil, and she begins to face him. Later, the person who delivered the sword tells Peter that her fell into the trap, kidnaps him, and takes him to Big Hook, who tells him that he will make him the hero of Zoltan. He confesses to him that he is the one who spread the drug in the city because it gives tremendous power even to people with limited blessings, granting control over them. We also know that he kidnapped Old and convinced him to take the drug to join the guard faster and also strengthen his blessing. He appears in front of the crowds after gathering them and tells them that he caught the assailant at the house of the, and the guards were hiding him because he is the son of their leader. Two guards themselves confess to this, so Big Hook asks him to kill Old in front of the townspeople and take him, whispering to him that if he kills Old, his blessing will transfer to him, and then he will be invincible. The old man faces Reed but does not kill him, telling them that he is not a murderer and will not allow them to control him. Here, he sees the old man showing his blessing and almost attacking unintentionally, but then the one who was moving in the form of one of the guards appears. The old man jumps in at the last moment and manages to take him away quickly, then goes after them with Boy and his companions, starting their plan. He takes the old man and leaves Reed to confront the bear and his men. He starts attacking Reed and others. Reed easily avoids him, and the bear realizes that Reed is his hero. He reveals all this to them. We find out that one of the monsters has possessed someone's body, and he is the one. He planned all this after exploiting the desire to control Zoltan. Afterwards, he made a deal with the same bear because of his hatred for Alolan and its lazy people, and his desire to be a legendary hero. He decided to turn all of Zoltan into a military force, and agreed for Reed to join him, especially after seeing his tremendous power. But Reed tells him that he is not interested in being a hero. Suddenly, The beer is surrounded by the town guards and tells Reed that they won't even arrest him because he's just a pharmacist. But the beer gets angry and tells him that he will not go down in history as a dirty criminal. And if he must die, he will at least die at the hands of a hero and attack Reed quickly. But Reed loses his hand and tells him that he could have been a hero of Zoltan, but he ruined it with his foolishness. The old man goes with Boy to the village and tells them that the one who attacked them was a devil disguised as an old man. All of this due to the effect of the drug that caused them to lose their memory. Then we go to the one calling himself Big Hook, the real name of the devil. They discover that Boy remains the same, so he returns to his true form and goes to the beer's prison, telling him that he will set him free and make him a hero. Despite the fact that the beer is not as enthusiastic as before, he agrees and sees him off happily. After that, he set in his first adventure after forming his team and saying goodbye, leaving them very captivated by his departure. We see Reed and the beer in a tent with Roti. The next day, Iris is shocked when they find Roti and Tisi have taken the ship and left him, Theo, and the one who is very surprised, especially when she finds Rudy leaving Charlotte and sees Boy after she arranged him as an adventurer that rose in rank with him, showing that he is the next hero after the beer's arrest. So Tisi is steering the ship towards Zoltan and asks Roti about the reason, and she tells her that she is going there to manufacture medicine. We learn that yesterday Bill talked to her about the drug spread in Zoltan and how it enhances the power of those who take it for sure. She will help her defeat the demonic army. So Roti takes her, but he doesn't capture her because she is immune to all curses. So she decides to go to manufacture the famous medicine in Sultan to develop it for herself, and she asks Tisi to treat her as a normal traveler because she doesn't want anyone to know she is a heroine. As for Reed, he doesn't have any customers today due to the intense cold, so she suggests to him to make something people love for the cold, and it works. He has the idea of making a heater for the hand, so he makes it and starts distributing it to his friends, and it quickly becomes popular in the village and achieves great success. He meets Red on the way back, and they decide to enjoy the scenery a bit, and Roti arrives in the city, but she attracts a lot of attention because of her power. Tisi rushes to her until they settle in an inn, and Tisi goes to explore the place and finds a small restaurant, so she decides to try it. She sits by chance, and from the first moment he notices her weapon, knows that she is a professional, which Tisi senses too. So she goes to Roti and tells her that she met someone who could cause them a big problem, and she suspects he might be a spy. Especially since Roti knows that the best adventurer in Sultan is Boy, and she tells her that all their focus now should be on smuggling the chemist from prison to take the original prescription for the medicine and develop it. Then Rednan genie named Koro comes to him and tells him that he needs his help because he has an important patient. So Roti starts her mission in field. Nala was going to execute the mission better if Red were with her. She starts imagining his presence and wishes he was there. So Kor takes Red to the place of the patient named Andi, who is a water genie. Red examines her and tells her that she is affected by a curse, not a disease, and he notices that she is very similar to the curse of the spreading disease. He gives her a treatment that alleviates the symptoms a bit. At the same time, she reaches Roti and Tisi, the chemist, and they take the prescription from him. Roti notices that the chemist is infected, but she refuses to use her powers, so he doesn't know she is a heroine. She goes to the nearest pharmacy and is shocked to find Reed there. Roti quickly embraces him, showing how attached she is to him. They talk about what happened, and she gets very angry. She tells Reed to leave, and she will manage on her own. She does something that could drive him away. But besides that, she can't continue without Red. She tells him that he is always in danger because of his failed plan and not being able to cast spells. As for Dan, she left him to search for him with Randa. She left the group convinced that killing affects her, but he tells her that he can't leave his life here. Roti tells him that she is also going to the village of Zoltan and will live with him. At the same time, Rot, who is shocked when she sees Roti and Reed together, tells her not to worry because she will also go to Zortan, but after she finishes something and then Roti leaves. She starts to feel pain because her stability in the city goes against her mission as a heroine. So she takes something to suppress her power, and Red tells her that Roti and the team need his presence. But he tells her that even Roti is just a child who deserves to live even if it's a part of a normal life. The chemist tells Roti that he needs a workshop to make the medicine, and it's not possible to stay in Zoltan, because if anyone sees him, he will be arrested. Roti considers searching in the mountains for a suitable hideout and tells Tisi that if she doesn't succeed within a week, she will declare her surrender. Suddenly, Roti approaches Tisi and is about to attack her, but Tisi dodges and Roti overpowers her, saying She apologizes, saying she doesn't know why she did that, and Tisi can't believe that the heroine is apologizing. They see a boy who also seems to be planning to head to the Mountain of 1,000. The next day, the boy decides to take Roti on a tour of the city and takes her to the steam bath of Zayef. Roti is amazed by the new experience, but she attracts the attention of everyone, and it becomes clear that they love her, especially after they find out she is Red's little sister. However, Roti is not accustomed to social experience, so she hides. Red reassures her that she is loved and that he is very proud of her, taking her to the market. Roti wishes that this day never ends. Meanwhile, T and Bill are on a journey searching for Roti, and they meet Bear, who is concerned about his treatment. She promises to get him a prosthetic hand as a token of gratitude for helping them in the search. Bear tells her that the cause of losing his hand was a very strange person, because despite his great strength, he was not a hero. Tisi tells him that just because someone has great power doesn't mean they should ignore their dreams and desires. Even though power helps them define their identity, it doesn't force them into anything. Roti sits with Red and tells her that even when Red was young, he was a wonderful person and stronger than her. Roti remembers her first encounter with Red when she was trying to save a little girl from the mountain, but faced a very powerful monster at that time. Roti suffered serious injuries but got up again and fought because being the heroine imposed that on her until Red appeared and managed to defeat it with one blow. He apologizes to Roti for being late and causing her pain. She currently feels numb to everything around her, such as not being able to taste milk and honey like before, but she still drinks it to remember how it felt in the past. We know that this is the reason for her strong attachment to Red, because he reminds her of a time when she had feeling. She has changed a lot from Red, now capable of feeling joy, anger, and all the things she had lost. She wishes to be like Red and not be the heroine anymore. Tisi goes to Red and tells him about Bill's visit to them and the disease. Tisi is concerned that Roti might eventually succumb to addiction if she continues down that path. She tells him about the chemist and how they sought their help. He warns her that he will lose control and suggests they meet at the port during their voyage. They sense the absence of the heroine but struggle with it. Eventually, he decides to search alone, and she notices him on the way. Reed coincidentally meets Dan, who has been looking for him for a long time. Tisi hides herself, and the bear quickly upon seeing them, and overhears their conversation. He mentions that the group completely failed after his departure, and describes himself as a strong individual capable of maintaining his emotional stability in the toughest battle, unlike Reed. He explains to Reed that he has a life here and cannot abandon it, which Reed understands. However, he knows that Roti is here and has decided to stay in Zoltan for a while. Dan tells him that he also has to stay until they decide what to do. He asks Reed about losing his right hand, and Dan says he will explain on the way. Dan accidentally bumps into Iris and tells him that Reed is here, running a pharmacy. The note always knew his whereabouts and followed him here. This greatly infuriates Iris, who sees Reed as a constant obstacle in their path. He goes to Reed's pharmacy and starts destroying it, and then heads to his house to wreak havoc there as well. Dan claims that all of this is pointless, and they realize that Dr. Salima has been deceiving them. They see Dan with someone else who informs him that he is still alive and that he faced him, causing him to lose his hand. They understand that the people with Hobella are observing them while on board. They quickly go to Tisi and inform them of what happened. Reed realizes that the individual he met was Shisend, not Dan, and agrees with Reed to return as heroes until they defeat Shur. He searches for Roti, heading towards a hideout in the mountains of Aleph, where he finds the chemist. He makes him scream, and Roti immediately appears. He apologizes to her for not realizing all that, and tells her that Tijia told him everything. He wants her to choose her life just as he chose his. But first, they need to defeat Shisend, whom they are about to meet. Dan is on his way, while Reed and Tisi are reaching Roti, who tells them that she has started to feel a new blessing emerging for, but it is unknown. Reed advises them to prepare for the worst. Suddenly, they are attacked, and Roti starts to fend off the attack, while Reed runs after her until they reach ADH. ADH tells her that he will fight alongside her, and that she doesn't need anyone else. She shows signs of madness, and Shisend watches from afar. Reed tries to talk to Iris, but she attacks him with her magic, so Roti immediately attacks him and tells him that she no longer cares, and if anything happens to Reed, she will kill him immediately. She takes Reed and walks away, transforming in the process. Shisend transforms into a wolf and suggests to Iris that they stay together because the remnants of the first hero are here, and if they find them, Roti will surely forgive. Iris agrees immediately, and they leave with Boy. He remembers the first time he saw Roti when he decided to dedicate his whole life to helping the heroine. Tisi tells the group that she senses that there is another person with Iris, and she realizes it is Shisend. So she informs them that they need to save Iris quickly while Tio is heading with Dan inside the hideout. They reach Boy's location, and Dan confronts him, showing the vast difference in power between them. Boy asks for help from Iris, who hesitates a bit, but eventually attacks Dan with her magic, causing him to revert to his original form. He starts to strike back at Dan even more fiercely, breaking bones with his hand. But eventually, Dan manages to overpower and defeat him. He continues his way with Shisend even after discovering his true nature and understanding that this is not the first time he has been betrayed, especially since he was the most aware of Reed's power, which is why they get to the deepest place in the hideout where the original hero's swords are located, because even Reed is just a tradition for them. Shisend tells him that for Roti to return to the path of the heroine, she needs two things: a sword from those to enhance her blessing, and to get rid of the thing that wants to keep her as Roti, not the heroine. He makes Iris understand that he must kill Reed, so he chooses one of them and tells him. They set off, and when they return to Roti, Reed, C, and Kos were in her team, and she tells them that she is still holding on to it. Suddenly, they find Shisend in front of them, and the fighting begins. Reed confronts him while Iris attacks them, becoming furious. Roti becomes very angry and tells him that she will not forgive him, so they start their fight. Roti succeeds in creating a storm that destroys the sword of the original, and Shisend realizes that she is not to be underestimated, especially since her power surpasses the previous hero. Tio suddenly appears and transforms into a demon, revealing that she is trying to kill Roti to transfer the role of the heroine to someone else. She tells her that she was created to be a heroine because the world truly needs her. But Roti tells her that she will not sacrifice her life for people she does not know and that she did not choose this path, putting Reed in a difficult position between following Roti or Iris. She says this is nonsense and that the world does not need a heroine because the one who saved Legia was her, not just Roti and her team, but the very people who carry the blessing. Reed then runs after Roti. Iris takes advantage of the opportunity and locks them in a box, throwing it from a great height. Roti screams and he laughs because he thought he was better than Reed at the same time. With the high level of the abyss, Reed miraculously manages to jump and brings him back to the fighting health, initiating the attack and protecting Reed's back. He finally succeeds in killing Iris. As for Roti, she faces Shisend in the depths, and despite his use of all the hero's swords, she harnesses all her power and attacks him with her hands until she disarms him. Roti takes the sword and kills him with it, but the sword ignites the desire of the heroine in her. She returns to the group and attacks Reed with all her might. Then Tisi stands in front of her and takes the hit for him, telling Roti that she does not want her to kill him. She loses all her humanity at that moment because he is dear to her. And here ends the story of the hero Reed. If you like the summary, don't forget to like and subscribe because that encourages us to continue.